Are you coachable or uncoachable? Do you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? When it comes to our sports such as dirt bike riding and snowmobiling, you will quickly learn that everyone is willing to give you any type of advice or feedback when it comes to your riding skills. From coaching clinics to sharing your videos of your progression, successes, and fails online. But the real question is, when do you take advice, criticism, and feedback, and how do you take advice, criticism, and feedback? Before we begin, hey, hi, and hello, Angelisa here, your host for Braap Throttle Talk, and I'm excited to dive into this topic with you today, with this discussion, because I've learned a lot about myself over the past couple of years on doing some major shadow work, and I think this is an interesting topic to discuss, especially with us dirt bike riders and snowmobilers. So welcome to today's workshop solo show on the difference between being coachable and uncoachable and when to accept and deny feedback. Okay. And I just want to say that I was very inspired by this topic because I had to do my own shadow work when I was in a nutrition program. I was being coached by a very highly qualified woman, entrepreneur, coach, fitness coach, nutritional coach, all of the things. And I looked up to her so incredibly much. So I had the opportunity to work with her. I will mention or add her link here. So her name is Rachel Ost. You can find her on all socials, and I absolutely adore her. And again, had the opportunity to work with her. So I had a lot of my own shadow work to work on when it came to being coachable and not being coachable. And I learned a lot about myself. And I just thought that this was a great topic that a lot of us can relate to. A lot of the experiences that we go through, we can relate. And I also did some extensive research and I read a few blogs. Now, this was a while ago. I actually, side note, I do all of my scripting, all of my research, in like months in advance. And so this was a few months ago when I did my research and I wrote out all of my point forms, but I forgot, I made the biggest mistake, and I forgot to write down where my references came from. So I apologize. Most of these points are not coming from me, but I do think that it's such a great way for us to look at the difference between different types of mindsets and what it actually means being coachable and uncoachable. So I do share a bit of my experiences and I have my notes in here. So let's get into it. But also second, I just want to point out my new obsession, this vintage sweater jacket. It does have this like a liner inside. So it is meant for like cooler weather. But how sick is this? Okay, my husband picked it up for me from a shop called Shop Velvet. Oh my God, Shop Underground Velvet, I believe it is, in Whistler. I still haven't been, but I've been following them on Instagram and they posted this jacket. Now, I did send that jacket to my husband, Kenny. And I said, if you ever want to buy me anything, this is it. And anyways, I love him. He grabbed it for me. Super thankful. But can I just show you the back? I'm going to do a little like turnaround for you because the back is pretty epic as well. So hold on a sec. All right, because I couldn't see, I don't know if it blurred out. But anyways, super epic. I'm really stoked on it. So today I'm going to wear it. And I thought it looked pretty badass for filming. Okay, now I'm going to sip on some peppermint tea and we're going to jump right in. Because we are a dirt bike focus and snowmobile focus women's podcast, we're going to talk about our sports and being a female rider. But by all means, this can be applied to any gender by any means. So, but in this case, I might be referring to her, us, she, that sort of thing. So just thought I would mention that. So most of us, for the most part, most of us have hired coaches or mentors when it comes to learning new skills for our rides, whether it's snowmobile or dirt bikes. You might have joined a snowmobile clinic to learn how to snowmobile, or you might have hired a dirt bike coach to do some one-on-one training, or perhaps your partner, your male significant other, husband, boyfriend, or friend taught you a few skills to advance with your riding. Regardless of what you're learning, who you're learning from, ask yourself this before you dive into learning new skills from others, okay? Do I have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Am I excited to learn something new? Or am I worried that I've developed some bad habits and I'm going to be pointed out all of the bad habits and that I'm basically doing everything wrong? I truly believe that mindset has such a big impact on how we receive feedback and criticism, which is why I want to further talk about this and what it means to be coachable and uncoachable. If you have a growth mindset, chances are you are more acceptable to change and grow through trial and error and a whole lot of exercises and drills to apply to your skills. This creates a love of learning and different types of physical resiliency, mental resilience, and emotional resilience. You look at challenges as an exciting opportunity and you're willing to give it a try. All right, the second is a fixed mindset, and this is one where being uncoachable applies. So a fixed mindset is where you know your limitations and you're not willing to let others give advice or feedback because you feel you either know what to do already, you know what you need to work on, and that you just need to figure it out on your own. If you're struggling or resisting to a coach, mentor, or friend, then you're likely to, again, have that fixed mindset. And sometimes us riders with a fixed mindset see coaching or receiving advice and feedback as a form of weakness or make it mean that our riding is flawed in some way. How many of you can relate to that? I know I can. So let's be honest. Most of us have had the experience of both mindsets, right? I know I'm not the only one. And truthfully, like I mentioned, I have experienced the fixed mindset. And I wasn't willing to accept any type of advice because I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I didn't know how to ride when I've been riding for so long. I felt that I was being attacked rather than acknowledging the feedback to try a different technique to help me. I really believed that it was one way and that was the only way. I always felt that I had to learn the hard way, but quickly understood that it does pay to be in a growth mindset, to hire coaches, mentors, and listening to friends on different riding styles and techniques to help me with my riding, especially being my size. If you're new here, I am shy of 5 feet, so the 6-foot rider with their techniques is not always going to apply to my type of riding style. Therefore, making sure that when you are in your growth mindset is being open to everyone's advice, because there's little bits of information that we can take and apply it to our own, right? Okay. All right. So what does being coachable mean? I had to, like I said, research this because I know what it means, but it was really hard for me to put it in words. So here we go. Being coachable is being open to asking for and receiving feedback. You're looking inward at how you can move forward and being interested in growth. You don't take things personally or as a criticism. Instead, you see it as an opportunity. You are coachable if you're willing to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for your words, decisions, and actions, and you are continuously increasing your levels of self-awareness and seeking mentors and coaches who will challenge you. So let's take a look at these qualities of being coachable. So number one, you're open to learning something new. You have a healthy curiosity and desire to discover new techniques to help with your riding. Your learning is not just textbook learning, but learning more about yourself, ways to grow and progress in areas that you feel you need work on. Self-awareness, which is number two, it is the key to being able to understand yourself, how you relate to others, your motivations, habits, challenges, and weaknesses. Success in every situation will depend upon your understanding of yourself. Oh, this is such a good one. You understand the importance of collecting all knowledge and apply what works for your unique self. As I mentioned, you want to learn from everyone, very skilled riders, and apply little bits of information to your own riding and see what works and what doesn't. So number three is taking action. So you are the type of person who gets things done. You stay focused on the steps that are needed to be taken rather than obsessing over the results that have not yet come to fruition. You remain motivated by your commitments and do not allow yourself to be distracted. When you do, you are quick to notice and get yourself back on track easily. Number four, I love this one. Being accountable. Not everyone can be accountable. Again, my hand is raised if you're not watching here over on YouTube. So it's something that you need to learn how to hold yourself accountable. Accountability is not something that can be assigned, but rather it is generated from within. I cannot agree anymore. It is a choice that a person makes. It means that you are the one who takes responsibility and doesn't make excuses. You manage expectations, you own your mistakes, and don't let your inner thoughts and emotions derail you off course, which easier said than done, but I can't agree with that anymore. Number five is willing to try new things. A seeker of growth, you are always willing to hear new ideas, test new techniques, and hear from others so you can learn and achieve your goals more efficiently. You try things out rather than shutting them out. Number six is thinks long term. Someone who is coachable has goals, period. Thinking long term and working towards a result or accomplishment that inspires you is critical to making any form of coaching successful. And finally, someone who is coachable is the one who is willing to put in the work before, during, and after. So whether you have hired a mentor or a coach, you put in the time to study, to soak in the knowledge, and get to your homework afterwards. It's about learning those techniques and those skills and applying it to your drills and taking the time to do drills, right? That's the homework. Now that we learned what coachable means, we're going to learn what being uncoachable means. So now, before I dive into this one, just note that every single one of us can find ourselves in a time or place where we are uncoachable. Again, my hand is up for those of you who can't see and you're listening in. Hand is up. Been there, done that. No matter how coachable we are, we oftentimes this comes from receiving advice or feedback when we didn't ask for it. Or we are feeling like everything is too hard and our emotions can get the best of us. So this list, of course, is a human experience. We all go through these at some point in our lifetime. So instead of judging it, please take this as an invitation to self-reflect and ask yourself if any of these might be happening with you, to you, or you've experienced it before. So number one, for uncoachable, feeling powerless. You're expecting a coach, mentor, friend, or someone else is going to solve all of your issues and problems and provide you with the skills to your riding in one sitting or coaching session, which is unrealistic, right? Number two, resistant. Not being open to change can present itself in a couple ways. Your way is the only way. been there, done that. Or unwillingness to adopt something new because I was taught this way. Oh, I've used that so many times. Well, this is the way I was taught, so this is the way I'm going to do it. Or I already tried it and it didn't work. Oh my God, I swear I just say that all the time. Anyways, not being open to new viewpoints, skills and drills, different techniques and perspectives makes someone uncoachable. So number 3 is lacking self-awareness and not willing to be vulnerable. So seeing vulnerability as a weakness rather than a strength and courage limits us from being really authentic. We can't grow, learn new skills, or be willing to fail if we can't be authentic with ourselves and others. So vulnerability is the key to self-awareness. I do 100% agree to that. Number 4 is unrealistic expectations and goals. The individual who wants to learn all of the techniques in one go and expects to know everything after the coaching session, but doesn't put in the work or the seat time to master the skills learned. They often say, well, I took a clinic, so I should be good by now. Holy moly, I've heard that one too many times from other women. I took a clinic, so I should know all these skills, but have you been putting in the time to work on those skills, or are you only going out the one time and expect to be a better rider? Number 5, unwilling to get outside of their comfort zone. I have a whole podcast episode dedicated to this topic. So fear. Fear is a natural and essential part of learning and growing. If you're not willing to push yourself to try new things, to learn new skills and practice those drills and skills, then you will be stuck with the level that you are at. It takes pushing the fear to the side and trying new techniques to get you on the other side. Most of us find ourselves to be coachable, but other times, a lot of us can find ourselves being uncoachable from some of the lists that I went through above. So if this is ringing true for you, that doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The most important thing is self-awareness and the awareness of being coachable and when you're not coachable. The ability to reflect and realize that we are being restrained and allow us to take steps to try the new skills of the feedback that someone has provided. You might be asking, hey, Ange, when do I take advice, feedback, and criticism? Well, if you have hired a mentor or a coach, or you've asked someone for some type of feedback and advice from friends and riding partners, that's when you should absorb all of the knowledge and feedback that you can in that moment because you had asked. You put yourself out there and you were willing to soak in the knowledge that was coming at you. That's when you want to take the advice, is when you know, again, back to self-awareness, that you need to work on things to get you through those obstacles, to get you through some challenging situations. However, if you receive feedback while, riding on the trails, backcountry, or the MX track, and you receive feedback when you didn't really ask for it, I know it's hard. Sometimes we take that as an attack on our riding abilities, but I do encourage you to take that advice rather than discard it, because oftentimes the ones that are giving us the advice in the moment, so sure, there's probably a lot of things going on. Maybe you were riding really sloppy. Maybe you were tired. Maybe it was that time of the month, because that can affect us. The moon, all of the things. There's just a lot of things that we do kind of go through mentally and physically. And you probably know that you weren't riding very well, that it wasn't your strongest ride. But more often than not, the people that are giving you the feedback, advice, or criticism are usually giving you a tip because they want to see you succeed. And some of those tips might be something that you didn't think about before. So it's important that we can stay open-minded rather than closed off. They say, this is a good one. So they say silence is a good thing. But in this case, if you're not receiving advice or feedback, it's either because, well, one, you nailed it and you didn't really need any advice or any type of direction on how to perform your skills because you did it. You clearly know what you're doing and what works for you. Or it might be because they don't say anything because you kind of give off this vibe that you don't want to be told on how to ride. You might be sort of the one that's negative at situations and don't really want to put themselves in challenging situations because you're quick to judge the situation, judge the obstacle. So most times people don't want to even offer anything because they know that it might upset you in some way. So most people can pick up on those vibes. Again, ask yourself, am I taking their feedback as a flawed rider, or is it because they genuinely care and want to see me succeed? Again, I know it's hard being in that position because sometimes we feel like we did it, or that the advice that's given is like, well, I just did that and it clearly didn't work. Or, we think we do things, but in the moment we might have blacked out and we actually didn't do the things. Again, I know I'm guilty of that. So, just being, again, going back to having more of an open mind and just taking things in and knowing yourself, knowing where you're coming from, what you're battling, what people don't see or feel in the inside. Because I've been working on my shadow work lately, I have been approaching the growth mindset rather than the fixed mindset because I found myself stuck in the fixed mindset and clearly it wasn't working for me. So now that I've adopted more of the growth or evolved, I guess, into the growth mindset, I've been kind of asking myself and asking other riders around me. So if I fail at an obstacle, I rather get that advice on what I'm doing wrong than nothing at all. Like I want to be able to learn how to get through those challenges, sticky situations, and talk them out with other riders rather than trying something that obviously isn't working. So again, when I know that I'm in a good place, in a good headspace, and I'm asking for that feedback, I am more open to receiving that feedback and that positive outcome or the criticism or the positive advice. That's the word I was looking for. Another thing that I've learned is knowing my truth. So my point here is know your truth. Know your truth and take everything as a compliment and positive feedback. Again, not everyone's going to know what you're dealing with emotionally and physically. And let's say you're tired, but you're trying this steep hill climb and you keep failing. People can give you all the advice, but you might be dealing with or thinking about something that happened at home or something that happened the day before, and you're just mentally not in the present moment, and you're just kind of winging it and putting yourself into dirt bike mode. So again, just know your truth, know what is going on inside and around you. And just take everything as a compliment. Something I want to touch on is online. Should you take advice from people online? Now, it all depends on how you want to take it. Again, most people want to help you out, but other times people can be quite rude or they just don't understand. So the viewer who is watching the video, your video online, cannot always see what actually happened in real life, in real time. So if they are commenting and giving advice on a fail video that you shared, chances are they have no idea what obstacles you were facing mentally and physically. And you might have succeeded, but you wanted to share the fail video online. Now, this happens to me all the time. Side note, a lot of my episodes that I share are just my experiences, and I find them actually really good conversations. And I just think that if I'm kind of going through this and I talk to myself about these things, maybe you would appreciate it too. So side note, if you appreciate these types of conversations, let me know, because sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to myself. So, but yeah, anyways, I share a lot of my failed videos online, mostly on TikTok. And so a lot of people, again, give me advice, or they're telling me that either the bike is too big for me, or all of the things. And so, I just had to kind of sit back, and what made everything better is that, I appreciate the advice, and I do typically try a lot of the things that, the feedback that I'm getting, I will try it, but most of the time it's a fail video. They didn't see me succeed in the video that I have not yet shared, and they don't see all the other obstacles that I had to get through just to get to the one obstacle, or the steep climb that I had to get to just to get over that obstacle. So yeah, I just kind of brush off the feedback that I get. Again, I do apply some of the things that I get online, but most times I just brush it off. I don't take it personally, because they weren't there in person to either try it themselves. And a lot of the times, most of my viewers are not from Canada, or if they are, they're not from my area, and they haven't hit this exact obstacle or exact trail. So if they had hit this obstacle, trails, whatever video that you shared, if somebody were to hit that exact same thing and then give you advice, then yes, of course, I think you should take that and try it for yourself. But if somebody's giving you advice on something that's not, they haven't been there to do it themselves, then I would, again, just kind of brush it off. Again, take it, try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But again, most of the time, a lot of us are facing or dealing with way more stuff than just the one hit that you see online, right? In the video. I know I feel like I'm on repeat on that, but it's just something that, I really want to drive home. So the next time someone comments any type of advice, feedback, or criticism on your video, either try it on for size, try their advice, hit the exact same obstacle, and see if it worked. And if it didn't, well, hey, you tried it and you can try something else. So in addition to our chat, I want you to sit down and perhaps reflect on times that you were given advice and feedback. Now, this can be a journal session, and I want you to write it all out. I find this super helpful when I feel negative or I'm in some type of resistance when it comes to feedback and advice. And when I do some type of self-reflection and self-awareness, I better understand myself and where I am coming from. So again, some of these questions I did take from my nutritional program, but I've also added a few for myself that I've worked on. So I want you to write this down, and I will have maybe these questions come up on YouTube. So number 1 is, what makes me coachable? Number 2, when am I coachable? Number 3 is, who am I coachable with? Number 4, when am I not coachable? Number 5, who are the people that I am resistant to when they provide feedback, and why? Number 6, what does it look like when I'm not being coachable? What are my behaviors, actions, words that I use? Are they words like, but I can't do this because my size, or that doesn't work for me, I tried that already, that sort of thing. Number 7, what am I skeptical of? Number 8, what negative reactions come up for me when I receive feedback? Number 9, why do I let those that provide feedback, criticism, and advice impact me negatively? Number 10, when am I trying a new skill? Do I know what it takes to succeed? And if so, what is it that I need to do? Number 11, how can I turn feedback into a positive experience? Number 12 is how can I get myself into a coachable and growth mindset? And you can elaborate on that. What are the steps that I can take to be in a growth mindset? What are the action steps that I need to take to be in a growth mindset? And how can I keep myself accountable for that growth mindset? So after all of this, it truly comes down to mindset. If you're feeling like you have a fixed mindset, I challenge you to work on the questions above to open up to a growth mindset. It's easier said than done. Trust me, I get it. I know. But it really, truly has impacted me in so many ways by digging deep and figuring out how I can receive more rather than tune out. It all comes down to taking bits of information from anyone and everyone and figuring it out what works for you and your truth and what doesn't work for you or what doesn't fit for you. Because that's all we can do. We are all so different and so unique that one way isn't always the right way, okay? And I'm going to say that again. One way isn't always the right way. Again, we are all so different and so unique. We all have different shapes, sizes, and body types that and bikes. I also want to include different types of snowmobiles, different types of dirt bikes. So not everything that is taught is the exact way. It's all about the seat time and taking little bits of information from everyone and anyone and just applying it to you to seeing what works. And if I can leave you with this, all coaches, all mentors, and your friends all want to see you succeed, right? They want to see you push through your fears and accomplish those goals. So when you are open to receiving, it will put you in a more open, positive space rather than a closed and negative space. So I hope that this episode has helped you in some way, shape, or form, or if it's landed for you, or if you resonated with it, please let me know. You can send me a DM over on Instagram. My handle is Angelisa Edwards, or you can leave a comment over here on YouTube. And I'm so curious if this has helped you in any way, shape, or form. And since we're on the topic of DMs, I received this note from Kendall Brown, and she says, "Hey, I finally got around to listening to your podcast, and I'm so glad I did. I'm currently home injured from riding, and I'm really lacking motivation. But your podcast about not making excuses is just what I needed to hear. So thanks." Okay, thank you, Kendall, for sending me that very kind and sweet message. And I'm going to be real here. I create these solo shows, these podcasts, because I'm either experiencing a lack of motivation myself or I need a little pep talk. So I kind of forget that other people are listening in. That isn't just me. So it's really cool that you do and that you're resonating and you're feeling that this podcast is helping in some way, shape, or form. And I am just proud to be a small part of your healing journey. So thank you so much. And I do think that it's really important that we take steps into becoming a better rider. And for myself, I find that I need to encourage myself to be that better rider and be that better mother, better friend, better mentor, and better human being all around. And I really think that's what our sports are all about. They expose us in so many ways, and they make us want to work hard in so many ways. And I think it just can be applied to all of our human experiences. So thank you so much for listening in. And that's all that I have for you today. Please, again, comment below if you've enjoyed our episode. All right, that's all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and listening in. And keep killing it safely out there, you guys. And I will catch you on the next episode. Okay, Bye.